Welcome to another episode of Let's Meet. I'm your host, Aaliyah English. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Let's Meet is a multimedia experience that corresponds with the Let's Meet section of the Indy Far East magazine. This gives us an opportunity to highlight some of the positive things that are happening on the Far East side of Indianapolis and meet the people who are behind the scenes of that change. The Let's Meet multimedia experience allows you to read all about our guests in the Indy Far East magazine, watch on YouTube, or listen when you're on the go on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You might recognize this month's guest from the Netflix show Nailed It, a bake-off competition where aspiring pastry chefs learn and attempt to create extravagant cakes from scratch. Now, before Ignoisco Miles was winning us away with his fun personality and creative cake bakes, he was just a kid at Warren Central High School. Now living in Norwalk, California, Ignoisco is a vocalist, actor, dancer, playwright, director, educator, mentor, and winner of Season 1 of the Big Nailed It Baking Challenge. I had the opportunity to sit down with Ignoisco via Zoom and talk about his experience on the show and about what's next for him. Take a look at this. How are you today, Ignoisco?
I am great. I'm great.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Quite a resume.
Oh, yeah, I know. I do a lot. Even still.
That's amazing. So we know you from Nailed It. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started and what made you sign up for the show?
So actually someone else signed up for me. And so I guess they submitted me, and then once they heard back from the producers, they kind of left it in my court, like, hey, if you want to continue this, go ahead. And I'm like, you know what? It don't hurt to just, you know what I'm saying? It won't hurt. If they say no, oh well. If they say yes, great, right? So I just decided to continue with it. I had some interviews. I had to bake in front of people and talk about it. It's a very interesting experience. But they ended up calling me and saying that they wanted my crazy self to be on the show. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's go. It's like I've always been into baking. I've been baking since I was a kid. Like my dad used to be a chef when I was a kid, and then of course, watching my mom cook at home and stuff. So I've always been into baking. I definitely was the house in college. Everybody loved to come over my house just to come and get something to eat because they knew they was going to eat good. You know what I'm saying? So being able to go into a competition and expand the things that I already do and learn some new skills and talents, it was just really exciting.
That's awesome. So before you were on the baking competition, you worked as a teacher. Tell us a little bit about that.
And I actually still work as a teacher. So I technically teaching for almost 10 years, which is crazy. Started off teaching in college as a grad student. I was teaching, doing vocal. I was the vocal instructor for the IU Soul Review at Indiana University. And what I tell you, that was a great experience. I was a student in the IU Soul Review, and then ended up being able to be the AI for the Soul Review. And so I've always enjoyed teaching. It's just exciting to be able to, one, reassure yourself that you actually know things, because I do believe that once you really learn something, the best way to know that you learn is to be able to teach somebody else, right? And to get them to then learn it. And if you can do that, then you know that you have mastered this particular thing. And so being a teacher has just been so much fun. And then when I moved to California, after the struggle, everybody struggles that first couple of years, and that's just hands down what's gonna happen. But once there was just a season in my life where God blessed me with this teaching job. And when I tell you, it has been the blessing for me because I've met so many people. I've gotten so many other opportunities. And my job, I love teaching. I work with the school. It's called Isana Nascent Academy. And I love teaching. I just love being in front of the kiddos, just to see how excited they get when you walk in the room. If there is no other love, Jesus is the best love of all. But kids just remind you that there's so much love in the world. Like they will see me and just run up and they all just want to bombard you and just run up to you with hugs and stuff. Like it's just really, really great. So I mean, teaching is definitely a passion of mine. It's something that I've always wanted to do. That I've known I wanted to do since the seventh grade, but I didn't know that I'll be doing it in this kind of capacity. So yeah, here we are.
That's awesome. And we kind of saw on the show that you had to step back out of that teacher mindset and back into that student mindset. What was that like?
Honestly, it's humbling. It's definitely humbling because, you know, when you get to set the pace for your classroom or set the guidelines or the expectations, that's one thing. But when you can say as a person, old, young, don't matter, you know what your degree is, when you can say like, no, this is a moment where I need to step back and I need to be able to be the person given the expectations and the guidelines, so that I can grow and be better. It's amazing. I think that we should, no matter how old we get, how experienced we get, we should never stop being a student. We should never stop putting ourselves in positions to learn, because that's how you continue growing. And life is all about growing. Like there's, everything continues to grow until it dies. So what better space to put yourself into than in a space to be able to learn something? And so from this experience, it was just me putting myself in the position of a student, but in the kitchen. And so it was something else that I love to do, but I got to learn and grow in all these different ways, which, I can still use today. So
That's awesome. So what are some of those things that you picked up in the kitchen that you still use today?
so some of the things I've been using, first of all, the chocolate work. I actually really love the chocolate work. So I know on one of the episodes, which this was when I say an honoring experience to have like literally the master of chocolate teaching you how to, work on chocolate. And what they don't show you in the show is he actually came around to our individual stations at different points and was like checking on us like, hey, are you catching up or are you still with me? So like it was really great to have somebody, it's different. I mean, because it's a competition and it's a TV show, right? So like everybody's looking for the drama and like, oh, they gonna mess up. But to have a teacher on there that's like, okay, yes, it's about the entertainment, but I care more about you all actually learning this skill so much that I'm gonna stop what I'm doing. I'm gonna come around to your table. I'm gonna check on you, make sure that you know what you're doing, that you're keeping up. Like it was so great. I mean, literally having him stand right by me and be like, hey, you need to fix this up, or you know what I'm saying? And getting in there, like, do your thing, Chad. As long as you know. Okay. But but that was great. So like chocolate work is something I still use. Um Fondants. I haven't done as much as I want to do since I've left the show, but I really want to get into more fondant work. Because that stuff, I'm like, I watch these shows, I'm like, man, it's so cool what people do with this fondant, like making stuff look so real. I don't know. I'm like, look, because even on that last challenge, my hands definitely didn't look like no real people hands, but we getting there.
Yes, but it looked like that fondant work was tough work to do. Just watching you guys like knead and get everything together. There's so much that goes into the structure of these cakes that I had no idea about. So really cool that you were able to learn that. What did you enjoy most about being in the kitchen with all the other chefs?
What I enjoyed most about the experience with the other chefs was really just getting to know everybody. When I tell y'all, we had a good time. We had fun on set, but we also had a good time off set. Like we had inside jokes. Yes, it's a competition. Like at the end of the day, somebody still has to go home, and at the end of the experience, somebody is going to win the money. But none of us treated the experience like that. Like we really all were supporting each other. Like we just wanted to see each other succeed. It didn't matter who it was succeeding. We wanted everybody to succeed. So like we would be talking, when we were all saying like, what flavors are you doing? Like, okay, maybe try this or maybe think about this. We really were helping each other along the way. And that was my favorite thing.
Tell us a little bit about Better Us Sweets.
Butter Us Sweets. So as of right now, it's kind of just a home bakery business right now. But the hope is to actually open up a food truck. That is kind of like the first stages when I get to the right place, which I mean, of course, the money will definitely be a start to that. And just to start up a food truck, I mean, and I wanted to, as most people know just from watching the show, like the idea of this bakery is called Butter Up Bakery Lounge, which is essentially like I want it to be kind of like a bakery and a club all in one, like where you can come in, you can see some shows, you can have you some drinks, and you can get you some sweets, right? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of all the things that I love. You know what I'm saying? I love me a good drink, I love me something sweet, and I love to watch a good performance. Okay. I'm actually really excited about the food truck because, food trucks are all the rave right now. They're everywhere. And it's something like portable, right? So like I don't have to just be in one place and expect for the clientele to come to me. I can go to my clientele and make sure that people, you know what I'm saying, far and wide can hopefully taste a little bit of the butter rub. Okay. Come get you some butter rub.
Yes, I will be on the lookout for that. Now, you mentioned karaoke with this food truck, and we heard you sing a little bit on the show where the world was introduced to you on Nailed It. I was introduced to you on the stage of the Warren Central Performing Arts Center, talking about you're the king of the world. Connection Show Choir. Can you tell us a little bit about? Can you tell us a little bit about your history in music theater and then your time here at Warren Central?
Let me first say, my time at Warren Central I had an amazing time. I know some people didn't really enjoy high school. I had a good time in high school, okay? I will say, like, I really started to find my love for performing arts. And I've always enjoyed performing arts. I've been singing since I was a kid. Like, we used to have this little group when I was a kid, me and my brothers and sisters. And so I've been singing forever. I've been doing plays and musicals forever. But like when getting to Warren, it really got to a place where I was like, man, like this is something I really can see myself pursuing for the rest of my life. And learning more about it, I started to get that passion for the knowledge and not just like, oh, it's great to get on stage. But it's another thing to be able to say, like, no, like I thirst to know more about my craft. Like I want to know how to, good vocal production. I want to know how to use vocal technique. Like I want to know how to, I want to know how to dance right when I get on stage. I want to be able to, what I'm saying? If I'm gonna do Broadway, I need to know the terms, all these people, Shantae and Sashay and, Glissa, all them people, you got to get to know all these people before you can go and be doing some Broadway and stuff. So
these are things that you need to know, and for you to get that fundamental, some people don't get that fundamental training until much later in life, and for it to come at the high school level is really amazing. Can you talk a little bit more about some of the teachers or some of the people who helped push you and nurture that dream?
I would say one of my biggest inspirations from high school was my theater teacher, Mr. Gabriel Huddleston. And he was amazing. Like, I think that now that I'm older, I feel like a lot of the ways that he was pushing me was because I think that he saw more in me than I probably saw in myself. Like, I'm like, oh, this stuff is fun. But I think that, sometimes you meet those people that are like, no. Like, this is fun for you, but I can see that you have more in you that you, like, this could really actually be something for you. And like I will never forget when we had our award, though we do the awards at the end of the year every year. And that one year, the theme was be ready for your moment, right? And I'm kind of paraphrasing, but the whole idea was you never know when someone is going to call your name to say, yes, it's your turn. But you always want to be ready for that moment. It could take 10, 15 years, but if you stay ready them 10, 15 years, like they say in the Black community, you ain't got to get ready, okay? You gotta be ready. And so, like, honestly, I think that through high school and then even going to college, like, and then coming out to LA and continuing my studies and continuing to like teach and do all these different things, it really helped cultivate the better performer in me. So once the opportunities start to roll in, I was ready for every single one of them, right? And I was ready to be me in all of them. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is I've been able to have all these experiences and I'm still me. Like when I go back home, I still cut up and have me a good old time, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna stop. I'm just gonna keep being me. And everybody can't say that. Some people lose themselves along their journey and they have to find themselves again. And I've been blessed to be able to be prepared in such a way from all of my mentors where when the opportunities start to roll in, I can say I never lost who I was. I've just been waiting, ready for the moment.
All right, we're gonna
Yes.
transition a little bit here. So far we've been talking about what you do, but I want to know more about you. So I have some fun questions for you. No wrong answers here, just first thing that comes to mind, okay?
Okay.
All right. First question, what song is giving you life right now?
I would say one of my songs right now is probably Cuff It by Beyonce. I love that joint.
It's so good.
I learned to dance with it and everything, child. I'm like, that's it. That's my joint right there. That's just one of them. No, I can name a few of them.
Okay, you can name, let's do three, top three.
So Cuff It for sure. Um, oh my goodness, Jasmine Sullivan, Selfish. Oh, I love that song. Goodness gracious, I love that song. And gospel artist Todd Delaney. He has so many good songs. Satisfied. That's my joint. Satisfied with you. Yes, child. Come on. Todd Delaney, child. Get me going. I'm telling you, I go into worship on that one.
Go to feel good food.
Go to feel good food is ice cream. Always. That's always gonna be it. I love me some ice cream. And I'm a basic ice cream person. Like, just give me some vanilla and then I can do something with it, because I might bake some cookies or something, put it on there, might have a brownie or something, put it in there. I might just eat it by itself, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, ice cream is my feel good.
Okay, sounds good. What are you watching these days besides Nailed It on Netflix?
My favorite TV show is Friends. I freaking love Friends. I watch it every single night before I go to bed. I'm watching Friends.
What character?
That's gonna always.
What character do you identify with most?
The character my favorite character is Phoebe, hands down. The character that I actually feel like I probably not vibe with, that probably reflects me the most is actually Monica.
Really?
Like, I'm a bit of a clean freak. I'm a bit controlling. And as we can see, like Monica people know, like, I will tell you my opinion whether you want to hear it or not. Like, that's just me, but I like having a good time too, because child, Monica be having fun, okay?
She throws down in the kitchen, so it feels right. It feels right.
In the kitchen. Come on, chef.
What are you reading these days, or the last thing that you read?
I think the last thing that I read was probably a script, to be honest.
Okay.
Because I do so many plays, and I direct a lot of like new works.
Mhm.
And so I think the last thing that I really read was a new work that I'm actually supposed to be directing next week. It's like a reading of a new play. And so that's supposed to be happening. It's called Hurt People. And so I'm directing that next week. So that's actually the last thing that I read.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, I can't read it, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. I always ask that question because I'm looking for new things to put on my reading list, but that one I appreciate. If you were a cake, what kind of cake would you be and why?
If I was a cake child, okay, I'm gonna be a chocolate cake with some fudge on the inside, probably with like some crumbly something, because I got a little crumble, maybe even pop a little nutmeg in there because you like some spice, and some frosting. Like, I am chocolate.
I believe you made a cake like that on the show, and I remember it didn't go over well, but I remember sitting at home like, ooh, that looks delicious. I'm a chocolate person too.
See, and it's because some people are like, they're like, oh, I like chocolate, but that's too much chocolate. I'm like, I love me some chocolate cake with a bunch of chocolate stuff in it.
So spooky season is right around the corner. Do you have any favorite seasonal treats or flavors?
So if any, it would definitely probably be apple pie, as we saw on the show. I'm not huge on pumpkin. Pumpkin is growing on me. I had these pumpkin chocolate chip cookies one time, and when I tell you they were so good, I was like,
who inspires you?
My students. Like, and that might be cliche to say, but honestly, my students now and my future students. That's what inspires me. That's what keeps me going. And I think this is another thing I talked about on the show. Like, I want to have a performing arts center. It's going to be called Passions Performing Arts and Education Center. And what I want to do with this school is I want to be able to provide students who would not rather get the stellar education in theater arts that they should, to be able to give them those experiences where not only are they getting the knowledge, but they're getting to travel and go see shows. They're getting to put on shows. They're getting to go to different colleges. Like, everything that I do is with me keeping in mind where I want to be. And that is owning my school, owning my bakery, owning my homeless recovery center. And so I'm just inspired all the time when I meet new students and new young people that have passions for things. Like, that's my thing is all if there was like a thing that I would say represents me is passion. And which is why the school is going to be called Passions, because I think that when you can say that you have a passion for something, that's different from being like, yeah, I mean, I like this, but no, do you have a passion for it? Like, for me, performing is my passion. If I could not perform, I don't know who I would be. Like, it's something that I am. It's something that I do that is literally like weaved into the fabric of my being.
If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Okay, the first person that came to my mind was Luther Vandross. Oh, Luther! Favorite artist of all time is Luther Vandross. I love Luther Vandross, man. I'm like, the way that man performed and the way that he sung them songs, like, it just, again, going back, you know that man was passionate about music, because don't nobody sing the way that man sing and not have a passion for music. I'm like, if I could sit down and talk to him, and it wouldn't even be like, spouting out questions or nothing. I would just want to just sit there and just vibe and let the words flow, like let the conversation just flow, because I know that amazing things will be said.
That's awesome. I love that. I would kind of want to hear you two sing together, do a duet.
Come on, child. I will sing with some Lufa.
All right. Well, that's the last of the About You or Rapid Fire section. Thank you so much. See, they weren't too hard.
That was fun.
Hey, I'm glad you liked it. I thought you would. All right. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit. What advice would you give to someone working out there? And you kind of talked about it when you talked about the passion, but what advice would you give someone out there, like a young Ignacio on the Far East Side of Indianapolis, who is wanting to achieve his or her dreams? What would you say?
I would say thirst for it every single day and never stop learning and never stop growing. When you're growing up, when you're growing up in the Far East Side of Indy, maybe other people don't feel this way, but I definitely felt this way. I had all of these dreams and things I knew I wanted to do. And growing up, there were lots of days when I was like, those are just dreams. Like, they aren't things that really happen to people like me, right? Like, people like me don't end up singing back around for like great artists, and you don't see us on TV and stuff. Like, those are just things that we dream about, because everything around you tells you that people that live here and in these circumstances, and they stay there, right? They struggle to mobilize themselves, or to just to be mobile in social economic in this world, Anywho, so like, my thing is always stay thirsty, never stop learning, because like, my dad would even tell you, we had this conversation once when I think I was in middle school, and he was like, are there anybody that you like, and blah, blah, blah. Because I never like dated anybody, never really went on dates and stuff. And I was like, no, because I'm trying to change my career. Sit up here in middle school. I'm trying to change my career. I don't want no relationship. But, that's funny. But I'm like, I don't regret being that way because it's what drove me to continue growing, like going to college and then going from undergrad to grad school and then going from Indianapolis to LA. Like that's what kept me driving was that thirst. Like I know what I want to do in my life and I'm never going to stop thirsting for that thing because as much as it may look like it can't happen, that doesn't mean that it can't happen because what we see is not always our reality. Sometimes what we see is just our circumstance. That's a word.
It is.
But you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes what we see is just our circumstance, and we have to be able to see the way that God sees the situation because God sees our reality, right? That's why he says he has plans for us to prosper us, right? To give us a hope and a future. So we cannot get blocked by what we see around us. Keep on thirsting because if you really want it and you keep thirsting after it and you keep learning, right? That's the second piece is to keep learning and keep growing because I could have just stopped at, well, I know how to sing. So, you know what I'm saying? I did a couple plays in high school. So like, I'm about to just, be out here and I'm about to just try to do something. No, I said, no, I'm going to college. I'm going to go get me a theater degree so I can continue learning the history and the practice and the techniques. And then I went from undergrad, went to grad school, and I became the AI from IU Soul Review. So I not only learned how to sing, but I got the technical skills from it. And then I started teaching other people, which then in turn kept teaching me and I kept learning more and more as I went through that and then moved to LA, started teaching these young kids on top of that, going into the industry and singing behind some of these celebrities and other artists like, you know what I'm saying? It all just, I kept learning, I kept growing every step of the way. But every single day, even still today, I thirst after what I want. I know what I want. My 3 businesses are going to happen because I'm continuing to thirst after it. And I'm continuing to learn and grow in those areas so that I can reach those places.
Yes, I love that. It's okay to be thirsty. Just don't be out here thirsty for somebody. Be thirsty for your dream. I like that.
Thirsty for your dream. Yes, child. Come on, hashtag be thirsty for your dream.
I like that. I'm gonna have to write that down. I love that. What is a quick tip or something that you picked up in the Nailed It kitchen that you can share with bakers or aspiring bakers out there?
Like, there's lots of things. I would say an easy thing, anybody that's just baking, because I didn't know this before I got on the show, crumb coat. You said quick and easy. I'm like, crumb coat. So for those of you that don't know the crumb coat, that was the first episode. And the whole idea of crumb coat is once you stack all your cakes, you got your filling in between all the layers, you do a crumb coat layer on the outside of the entire cake. That is before you start decorating. I never did that. I would just stack a cake and be like, all right, give me this orange frosting. Here we go. Let's whip it up, whip it around. And I'm like, man, it's got holes in it. So in some places I can still see the cake. Like, you know what I'm saying? That crumb coat is just a good extra protection. Crumb coat your cakes.
What are some things that the community here back home, I know you're in California now, but what are some things for us back home that we can do to help support you?
I mean, the first thing is just, watch the show. Go out there and watch the show if you haven't already. Go to Netflix, type in The Big Nailed It Baking Challenge and watch it, okay? Because the more views we get, you know what I'm saying, the more popular the show can be. That's kind of the easiest way. But honestly, I mean, the best way to support me is just to keep living your dreams, man. Like that fuels me, that gives me energy to just know that people are out there, especially people from my hometown. You know what I'm saying? Like we're growing, we're doing things. Like, I mean, even for you, like I'm like, man, this is just so great to see where you are now and see all the amazing things that you're doing in the community. That is dope. Like this is what we have to do. The only way for us to improve where we are from is really to do it ourselves. Because let's be real, the people ain't gonna do it. Okay, the man ain't about to do it. We have to do it for ourselves. So
we do. And yes, thank you. And it's very heartwarming and inspiring to see someone like you who's from the Far East Side, who didn't graduate not that long ago, I believe 2008, 2009. 2009. So someone who's not that far removed, and there's students, I'm sure here, and there are times growing up on the Far East Side that I'm like, I'm all the way and on the Far East Side of Indianapolis. I have this dream, but I'm on the far east side of Indianapolis. Who's gonna find me? So just to see you and see you on Nailed It and see you on Netflix and just see everything that you've accomplished, it's just very inspiring and it gives us something to look forward to. So really, thank you so much and kudos to you. Which leads me to my next question. What is the best way for someone reading our magazine or watching this interview? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Can always hit me up on social media. On Ignacio Dewan. And that's on both Instagram, Facebook, and on my TikTok. Y'all find me, connect with me. Let me know what y'all doing, what stories y'all got to tell. I'm always here. Okay.
At the end of the day, how do you feel about the work that you're doing?
Amazing. I feel really great. Yeah, I mean, just in short, like I feel really great. Just to kind of extend what I was saying earlier, being from the Far East Side and being in some situations where you just never know if you're gonna actually get out, it's great to know that that we really can live our dreams. I mean, it's such a cliche, right? We hear people say that. And to be honest, when you grow up in conditions like some of us have grown up in, like, I was homeless. Me and my family were homeless for a period of time. Like when you grow up and those are some of your experiences, you don't think that you gon' be that you don't think that that is true for you, right? Oh, you can live your dreams. Like just dream and you can live it and you can be it. And you're like, child, that is some. I don't know if I can. I'm like, that's some other people's stuff. Okay, we ain't doing that over here because that ain't us. But to actually be living the things that I've been speaking into my life, like believing and knowing like these are the talents God gave me. And so I'm going to continue reaching for them. That, I mean, it just makes you feel great and I feel so blessed, to be where I'm at right now. And I'm so excited to see where I'm about to go.
I'm excited to see where you're about to go as well. That brings me to my final question. It's probably my favorite question that I ask. What's next?
What is next? So as of now, the school year started, so I'm back to teaching. But I'm still performing, I'm still directing, and I am still baking. So at this point, like we'll see. We'll see what opportunities come my way. Like I said, next week I'll actually be in Texas, directing this new work. And then we'll see what other opportunities come, so what's next? As of now, a few things are next, but we're not sure. So we'll see where things go. But I know that amazing things are about to be popping up left and right. So call me out.
Thank you so much. All right, that does it for this episode of Let's Meet. Thank you so much for stopping by. You can read all about this month's guest in the Indie Far East magazine by heading over to indiefareastmag.com and reading the digital copy, or stopping by one of our mini drop locations and pick up a physical copy. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you next time.